This right next to me is the Audi Q3, and in Australia, it is one of the top selling models for the brand. And in this full detailed review, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about the Q3 and also see how it compares with other small luxury SUV rivals. So before we start, please like, share, subscribe. Let's get straight into the review. Let's start off with an overview about the Q3. So this is available in two different powertrains, and in regards to optional extras, like most European brands, you can equip this car with various optional packages. And in terms of key rivals, this is the type of vehicle that competes with the Volvo XC40 and of course the Mercedes GLA, and it's also a good car to compare with the BMW X1 and as well as the Mini Countryman, which shares the same platform as the BMW X1. Okay, let's now move on to the design. So in terms of key features, we've got full automatic LED headlights and full LED DRLs. And it's also worth noting that you can option for matrix LED headlights. And if we look towards the center, the traditional Audi grille with the 4 rings finished off in gloss black, and as well as additional side vents finished off in gloss black. And now moving towards the side view of the Q3. So this being equipped with the style package, this particular Q3 is sitting on 19-inch multi-spoke contrast grey alloy wheels, and opposed to black plastic cladding around the wheel arches and on the lower sections. All that is finished off in the body colour. And if we look further down the side, gloss black wing mirrors and window surrounds, and there are also black roof rails. And finally, looking towards the rear quarter, privacy glass. And now moving towards the rear design of the Q3. So from the back, we've got full LED tail lights, and from what we can see, integrated LED sequential indicators. And if we look further down, black plastic cladding with gloss black exhaust tips. However, the exhaust pipes are fake, so write down in the comments down below of what you think of that. And lastly, up the top here, blacked out Q3 badge and a black Audi ring logo. Okay, let's now move on to the cabin. So before you climb inside, this Audi receives a remote key, keyless entry and push power start. And in comparison to some of the rivals like the Mercedes GLA, inside of the Q3 it feels far more better built. You've also got 2 large screens, ambient lighting with a choice of 30 different colours, and of course the optional panoramic glass sunroof above me. However, there are some elements where the car is showing its age, because let's not forget this has been on sale since 2019, so you've got physical knobs and dials down below, and of course this traditional gear knob, so I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing. Whereas other rivals like the BMW X1 or even the Mini Countryman have a far more modern interior if that's what you're after. And in regards to build quality, everything feels very solid, even on the top surface that is nice and soft. And even on top of the dashboard that feels nice and soft and squidgy, and even looking lower down, it's all soft touch material. Gets a little bit scratchy here, but even here is soft to the touch. There is also a free spoke leather wrapped steering wheel that feels very nice to grip onto, and all Q3s come standard with artificial leather trim and as well as manual seat adjustment, whereas this particular car has been equipped with electric seat adjustment and as well as lumbar support and seat heating, dual zone climate control, and the steering offers both manual, tilt and reach adjustment. Now, if we move on to infotainment, it all runs off this 10.25-inch display, and all of your submenus are controlled through the right panel, and overall it is pretty easy to work out first go. And if we talk about the media functions, this has AM, FM, DAB radio, along with USB, Bluetooth, and as standard, a 6-speaker stereo system, whereas this particular car has been optioned with a 10-speaker stereo system. And you've also got wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. You can also enable Siri within the voice control, or either use the standard voice control. And on top of that, inbuilt satellite navigation with 3D mapping. You could also download an app on your phone to enable remote locking and unlocking, locating the vehicle and accessing other features like that. And moving on to safety, the Q3 comes standard with a reversing camera, along with front and rear parking sensors, and you've also got a rear cross traffic alert. And this particular car has been equipped with the optional surround view camera. So if I go into this menu, you have a decent selection of camera angles to choose from. And in regards to other safety items, we've got autonomous emergency braking. There is also an auto dimming revision mirror, and over on the wing mirrors, blind spot monitoring, along with a lane keeping assistant, where this car has the ability to steer itself back into its lane. And on top of that, standard cruise control, whereas as an option you can equip this with adaptive cruise control. And if we now look ahead of the driver, this features a 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster, and this is known as Audi's virtual cockpit. And what I mean by that is you can enlarge what you already have displayed. So for example, enlarging the map. And finally, practicality. So the glove box is a relatively good size. Over towards the right hand side, hidden storage, and looking towards the center, we've got a wireless phone charging pad along with 2 USB-C ports. And if we look towards this section, 2 small cup holders along with a device holder, and under here a little bit of storage, and you can also move this armrest forward and lock it into place if you want to rest your elbow. And on the doors, decent door bin storage, and as well as a spot there for a big large bottle of water. Okay, moving on to the second row. So this front driver's seat is set in my position, and from what we can see, I've got decent knee room, my toes slide under the seat, and I've also got good headroom. And it's also worth noting that you can slide the second row seats forwards and backwards to make some more room in the boot, or you could also recline them forwards or backwards. And in addition to other key features, we've got directional air vents towards the center, along with a 12-volt socket and 2 USB-C ports. There are also map pockets behind the front row seats, and also decent door bin storage, and as well as a fold down armrest with 2 small cup holders. And finally, for child seats, these 2 outboard seats are ISOFIX compatible, and right behind me there are 3 top tether points. Let's now move on to boot capacity. So all model variants of the Q3 receive a power operated tailgate. And as you can see, once the boot is open, you have 530 litres of boot capacity, which makes this large enough for a couple of carry-on suitcases and a completely flat floor with this metal scuff plate. But it is worth noting that the BMW X1 does have a bigger boot space, but overall, in terms of size, it is still pretty big. And you can also slide the second row forwards and backwards if you want to expand that capacity. And if you need even more space, you can quite easily pull on the levers in the second row and fold the seats down, and that reveals just over 1,500 litres of boot space. And in addition to other key items, on either side there are these storage cutaways, and as well as these metal tie-down hooks, shopping bag hooks on either side, and of course underneath the boot floor you can clip that into place, and that reveals the location for the space saver spare tyre along with the toolkit. But it is worth noting that if you go for the Sportback, you get run flat tyres and a tyre repair kit. Let's now move on to the powertrain. So under the bonnet of the 35 TFSI is a 1.4 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that develops around 110 kilowatts and 250 newton meters of torque, whereas under the bonnet of the 40 TFSI engine is a 2 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that develops 132 kilowatts and 320 newton meters of torque. And instead of front wheel drive, that powertrain is linked with Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive system. And in regards to ownership, Audi Australia offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and each services every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. Okay, moving on to the driving impressions. What does this car like to drive? Well, first of all, there is great visibility at the front. You also sit up nice and high, giving you that commanding driving position. And if we move on to side vision, that's also pretty good. You've also got decent sized wing mirrors, and from the back, great visibility as well. And in terms of the steering, it's got great feedback through the wheel. You've got a good sense of what the front wheels are doing. This also has a turning circle radius of around 11 meters, so maneuvering this around a tight street, it's an easy car to get used to. And I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a whippersnipper by my side and I can barely hear anything. And that is also the same when you are traveling at higher speeds. No wind noise, there isn't any tyre noise. And in terms of the driver assistance, nothing was intrusive. I did have a little bit of trouble working out the cruise control first go, but once you get used to it, it's pretty much seamless to work out. Now, this gearbox is a dual clutch system, and look, they've definitely come a long way in comparison to, I guess, 20 years ago when they were a bit lurchy, and Audi have really ironed it out. It's very smooth and seamless, especially when you set off, so I'll give you an example. So it's okay, maybe a little bit of wheel spin. That is something you probably won't get on the all-wheel drive version. It is relatively smooth. You can change gears using the sequential gearbox down below. No paddle shifters on the front wheel drive version. If I was going to fault this car, maybe it could be a little bit more powerful, but that might change driving the all-wheel drive 40 TFSI engine. But in normal driving scenarios, and for someone that isn't a car enthusiast, I think this power plant is perfect for everybody. And in terms of the brakes, they're very soft, so they're very smooth. You won't get car sick or make your passengers sick from excessive braking. And if we now move on to fuel consumption, Audi claims that this 35 TFSI engine can achieve 7.2 litres per 100, and currently I'm sitting on 7.7 litres per 100, which I think is very good for this type of vehicle. And that figure also dropped down to just over 6 litres per 100 on the freeway. So yes, this is a very efficient car for the class. So with my driving impressions out of the way, let's now wrap up with a verdict. So what is my final verdict on the Audi Q3? Well, considering that this platform has been around for a couple of years now, it still feels fresh inside and it still feels like a premium product. Yes, in some areas it does show its age, and once you start ticking those option boxes, this car does get a bit expensive. But in saying that, amongst its main rivals, it is definitely worth shortlisting. And in terms of the powertrain I would choose for city driving, I think this front wheel drive 35 TFSI engine is perfect. But if you do need that added punch and that quattro all-wheel drive system, the 40 TFSI engine is also great. But of course, let me know what you think of my verdict down in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload a new car review. But for now, I will see you in the next film. Thanks for watching.